Action of salivary amylase on starch. Effect of different temperatures on the activity of salivary amylase on starch. Materials required: 3 series of test tubes having iodine solution in each, test tubes, ice cubes, water, 15 ml 1% starch solution plus 3 ml 1% NaCl, saliva solution, droppers, thermometer, Bunsen burner and wire gauze. Procedure: take beaker containing 15 ml of 1% starch solution plus 3 ml of 1% NaCl solution. Divide and pour the solution into 3 test tubes and mark them as A, B and C. Maintain the temperature of the beaker containing ice cubes at 5 degrees Celsius. Take the beaker containing ice cubes and keep it on the table. Take another 2 beakers containing water and heat over the Bunsen burner. Now, transfer experimental tube A into a beaker containing ice. Transfer the second experimental tube B into water bath set at 37 degrees Celsius and third experimental tube C into the beaker maintained at 50 degrees Celsius. Using a dropper, take 1 ml saliva solution and transfer the solution into test tube A. Similarly, add 1 ml saliva solution into test tube B and test tube C. Immediately, using a dropper, take a few drops from experimental tube A and transfer this into first series of test tubes having iodine solution. Similarly, using fresh droppers, do the same procedure for test tube B and test tube C and transfer the solution into the second and third series of test tubes having the iodine solution. Note this time as 0-minute reading. After an interval of 2 minutes, again take a few drops from each tube and add to the iodine tubes and note the change in color of iodine. Keep on repeating the experiment at an interval of every 2 minutes till the color of iodine does not change. After the 4th minute, the color of iodine doesn't change for starch solution at 37 degrees Celsius. Note the time in the table. Keep on repeating the experiment at an interval of every 2 minutes till the color of iodine does not change at temperatures 5 degrees Celsius and 50 degrees Celsius. After the 10th minute, color of iodine doesn't change for starch solution at 50 degrees Celsius. Note the time in the table. Keep on repeating the experiment at an interval of every 2 minutes till the color of iodine does not change at temperature 50 degrees Celsius. After 14th minute, color of iodine doesn't change for starch solution at 5 degrees Celsius. Note the time in the table. Results. To digest completely 5 ml of 1% starch solution, 1 ml of diluted enzyme takes 14 minutes at 5 degrees Celsius, 4 minutes at 37 degrees Celsius and 10 minutes at 50 degrees Celsius. It takes less time to reach achromic point at 37 degrees Celsius as the enzyme is maximum active at this temperature, while at higher and lower temperatures more time is taken to reach the achromic point. Conclusion. All enzymes are proteinaceous in nature. At lower temperatures, the enzyme salivary amylase is deactivated, and at higher temperatures, the enzyme is denatured. Therefore, more time will be taken by enzyme to digest the starch at lower and higher temperatures. At 37 degrees Celsius, the enzyme is most active, hence takes less time to digest the starch. Effects of different pHs on the activity of salivary amylase on starch. Materials required: 3 series of test tubes having iodine solution in each. Test tubes, pH tablets of 5, 6.8 and 8. Beaker containing water with thermometer, 15 ml 1% starch solution plus 3 ml 1% NaCl, saliva solution, droppers and wire gauze. Procedure. Take a beaker containing 15 ml of 1% starch solution plus 3 ml of 1% NaCl solution. Divide and pour this solution into 3 test tubes and mark them as A, B and C. Add pH tablet 5 into test tube A, pH tablet 6.8 into test tube B and pH tablet 8 into test tube C. Now transfer experimental tube A, B and C into a beaker containing water and a thermometer for recording temperature. Temperature of this beaker is to be maintained at 37 degrees Celsius. Using a dropper, take 3 ml saliva solution and add 1 ml of solution to each of the 3 test tubes. Immediately using a dropper, take few drops from experimental tube A and transfer this into the first series of test tubes having iodine solution. Similarly, do the same procedure for test tube B and test tube C and transfer the solution into second and third series of test tubes having iodine solution. Note this time as 0-minute reading. After an interval of 2 minutes, again take a drop from each tube and add to the iodine tubes and note the change in color of iodine. Keep on repeating the experiment at an interval of every 2 minutes till the color of iodine does not change. After the 4th minute, the color of iodine doesn't change for starch solution at pH 6.8. Note the time in the table. Keep on repeating the experiment at an interval of every 2 minutes till the color of iodine does not change at pH 5 and pH 8. After the 14th minute, color of iodine changes to blue-black color at pH 5 and pH 8. Note the time in the table. Results: pH 5 is acidic and pH 8 is alkaline. Therefore, salivary amylase did not act in these tubes, whereas the enzyme acted in the tube with pH 6.8, that is slightly acidic, and digested the starch.
To study the enzymatic action of salivary amylase on starch. Step 1. Take 10 ml of 1% starch solution in a test tube A. Step 2. Add 2 ml of 1% NaCl solution to it. Step 3. Add 2 ml of buffer solution. Step 4. Transfer half of solution, that is around 7 ml, to another test tube B. Step 5. Transfer both test tubes in separate beakers containing water, maintained temperature at 37 degrees centigrade. Mark one as experimental tube and other as control tube. Step 6. Add 1 ml saliva solution to experimental tube. Step 7. Add 1 ml of distilled water to control tube. Step 8. Take 2 sets of test tubes, 8 test tubes in each set, containing 1 ml of iodine solution to act as indicator tubes. Mark them 1 to 8 in each set. Step 9. With the help of dropper, take a drop each from experimental and control tubes and pour it into 2 separate indicator tubes. Record the time of mixing and note the color change in iodine in both test tube. Step 10. After 2 minutes, again repeat the previous process and note the color change in both test tube and record. Repeat the step at interval of every 2 minutes. Study the effect of temperature on the activity of salivary amylase. Step 1. Take 15 ml of 1% starch solution in a beaker. Step 2. Add 3 ml of 1% NaCl solution to it. Step 3. Add 3 ml of buffer solution. Step 4. Divide the solution equally into 3 test tubes. Step 5. Transfer test tube A in a beaker containing ice water. Maintain temperature at 5 degrees centigrade. And test tube B to another beaker containing water where temperature is maintained at 37 degrees centigrade. And test tube C to another beaker containing water where temperature is maintained at 70 degrees centigrade throughout the experiment. Step 6. Add 1 ml saliva solution to each test tube. Step 7. Take 3 sets of test tubes, that is, 8 test tubes in each set, containing 1 ml of iodine solution to act as indicator tubes. Mark them 1 to 8 in each set. Step 8. With the help of dropper, take a drop from each experimental tubes and pour it into 3 separate indicator tubes. Record the time of mixing as 0-minute reading and note the color change in iodine in 3 test tubes. Step 9. After 2 minutes, again repeat the previous process and note the color change in 3 test tubes and record the color. Repeat the step at interval of every 2 minutes.